Okay, so you are here because you have some curiosity regarding what it would be like to do doTERRA as a business, what makes it cool, especially during these days in this climate and the adventures that we're having just in our country and whatever right now. I know that you who are joining, you already love the product. One or two of you may not actually even have your account yet, but you've had a lot of whoa experiences, or at least one whoa experience. So to start off, could I have you guys in the chat? Could I have you go ahead and put just like one of your like most obvious whoa experiences? We are going to read over a couple of those later. I have a little gift for those of you who are participating live, and it's just fun to hear, some of those things. Many of my whoa experiences feel like they have a lot of background to them, but to simplify, I think sometimes it's when you think that there's going to be something super crazy and difficult, like stopping blood from a tongue that feels like it's been bit to the point of severing, with helichrysum, which was what my experience was when I just felt so desperate. And I was so surprised that the power of the oils was something that was just so obvious at that time. So go ahead and put that in the chat if you would, what your whoa moment was. But most of you are joining because you've already had good experiences and you already have a good understanding of who I am, and just me as a I don't know. I guess I'm thinking those of you who I know joining have a connection with me or possibly with Marcella, and you know that there's just a kind-hearted connection to you and to helping and to serving and to being courageous. But there's also a lot of details or logistics that you are probably just don't really have answered. And I tend to hover on the more heartfelt relational kind of side of things. But I know a lot of people, you need to know some of the specifics. And so I'm super delighted to have Katie Glasgow joining us today, who is a Blue Diamond. And she is going to, I think, add a little bit more of the logistics side and some more of the overarching general view, as well as just some amazing little nuggets. Obviously, she has a lot of heart into this as well too. But she's a numbers person, which I am not necessarily, and so I love being a part of a team where we can have the benefits of being able to, just share our skills and grow and learn from each other. So I'm really delighted to be able to have that. Looking forward. So as I said, we're going to be mostly, looking at, I would say, three aspects as we go through this business opportunity call. And that is like more like the logistics details. And then we'll go on to a part that's more about like the heart and connection to like purpose and why doTERRA and things like that. And then we'll look at some of the rewards of what it looks like, because we're combining both of those things to do something amazing in our world. And I'm kind of thinking, if you're just if you just even have a little bit of curiosity, I hope this can be a high value thing for you. So y'all are probably already aware that there is a lot of shifting going on because of the pandemic, and how people buy things is very different these days compared to what we used to experience. And there's a lot of shifting going on. How many people are staying home these days, specifically moms who are choosing into staying home for kiddos. And this idea of needing to have alternative streams of income is really, really big right now. And so I want to show you guys what it would look like to have that be doTERRA, to have that as your vehicle to gain these extra streams of income. So I will share my screen and bump over to the old way versus the new way, right? You guys have probably heard me talking about hauling buckets versus building a pipeline before, but I'm going to trust that you've already heard me kind of talk about the story of the woman carrying water up the hill to her city and how she had to keep hauling the buckets forever and forever. And it's just so tiring. The whole idea of trading hours for dollars, not really being able to expand or advance. And she didn't get to choose what day she would take off or when she could nurse her sick child or help her broken ankle or whatever. And she just she felt pressure to do things because of other people's ideas or needs versus what she chose to do consistently over time was to build a pipeline that went from the city or from the village to the water source so that she could get that water and then be able to have continual income even if she didn't have the hauling of the buckets. And that allowed her the freedom to be able to, with that pipeline, to have the water coming in and to be getting, helping her community from it, as well as set her up for freedom to do things that were more important than just getting water. And so, really the idea of building her dreams became really important. So for us in doTERRA, that basically looks into direct sales. And I know many of you are saying to yourselves like, oh, that whole network marketing thing, that just sounds yucky. I could never do sales, and I love doTERRA. I've had some great experiences, but I just can't sell something like that. And I hear that a lot. But there really are some benefits about why direct sales is specifically a really great model in this day and age right now where we're at currently. And one thing is the fact that you don't have the limits and your success is entirely up to you. I love being able to take off time to take my kids places when it's, when it's date night or something like that. I'm not strapped into showing up for my scheduled, time, giving my timesheet that somebody else decides for me and hoping I can get off for holidays and things like that. The whole idea of it being, for me, I don't have to worry about going to get these awesome products from other countries. I don't have to worry about making sure that they're pure and high quality. I don't have to worry about keeping a big stock or inventory in my garage or closets. I don't have all the overhead of how to hire people for all these different things I need about communication or shipping or things like that. So this model really does work well in terms of being something that I can do what I'm good at, which is from the heart, coaching people about how they can have improvement on some issues that they're experiencing that many of us experience, and just impacting how their family flows because of the benefits of what I have introduced them to. I really like also with with this, there is a system that I can follow that I don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's not like being a solopreneur or just a brick and mortar store that I have to kind of figure out myself. The education system and the community, people who really want to help you grow, such as, as we'll mention in a few minutes, we'll be able to talk to Katie Glasgow and get some of her ideas about how she contributes to people who are also following in this path as well. So the community, the education system are great. And then, the fact that it only costs 100 PV per month to be able to use these personal products in our homes, get the benefits of them. And it's surprising if you guys have looked into some of the other, possibilities. There are so many more companies out that are looking at $2,000 or $4,000 starter packs kind of a thing. And the fact that doTERRA doesn't ask us to have, like a lot of of input even in the beginning, and maintaining it. So for only $1,200 a year, this is something that becomes very doable. It's very low impact on the personal budget. And the bigger deal too, to me, is that it's that residual income, like we talked about for the pipeline. We it's like putting the effort in during a time in the beginning means that years later we still get the benefit, even though we don't have to show up every single day, and we get to have that time off, which I really think is amazing. So just because things are, a little bit trickier in our world these days, I think, the idea of having something that is like just a super high quality company that we can get behind, and the benefits of this direct sell model makes it really not feel icky, specifically because doTERRA's products are so beyond amazing. And I do, in just a minute, I'm going to read some of you guys's your shares about what some of your favorite whoa experiences is. So keep writing that in the chat, because I do want to hear more about that, and we'll get there in just a second. Okay, so doTERRA is the most tested and the most trusted. You guys probably already know that because you've heard me say it, and it's so transparent. We will mention later about the source to you. In fact, yeah, let me talk real quick about the source to you. There is not another company that has a higher quality testing than doTERRA has right now. And the source2you.com website is a great place to go and explore, because you need to be able to recommend these products to somebody and know that they're going to have the same results for that person as they do. Well, okay, I mean, obviously our physiology is different, so you can't necessarily promise the exact same results, but that consistently what is in your bottle is going to be trackable and traceable and super pure from the highest quality source. And being able to steer them to something that is very reliable and sciencey, even if you're not a sciencey person, to be able to have a place to send them to say, like, there's got to be a reason that doTERRA is being used in hospitals and is in university research centers, and why doctors themselves are using them with their patients. And source2you.com has some of those places that you can go to get some of those specific bits of information. And so having that portion of research done for us means that we have the ability to send people places, so that it doesn't become our shoulders that we have to rely on to know all the answers. So I love that. Also, the fact that there's over 8.5 million customers, I think, is huge. Now, you guys, most of you who are listening are already current customers and already have your account. But I would say 85% of all the people who have an account with doTERRA are actually only users. They've never sold something retail from their retail website. They've never shared and got somebody to open their account under them. 85% of people are only loving the product because it's that good. And so that also causes there to be a really great retention rate. Okay, so we mentioned it's used by doctors and hospitals. It's the largest essential oil company in the world. Okay, the retention rate is 65%, while the average industry rate is 13%. That means after a year, only 13% of people who are, bumping into Pampered Chef or, LuLaRoe or some of these other companies, only 13% of them continue purchasing, versus such a high retention rate that doTERRA has going on, because people love the product, because it really is that amazing. Also, we will talk a little bit more about the partnerships with the growers around the world during the heart section. I'm wanting to, that ethos portion of who it is, the integrity of who we're dealing with doTERRA. But some of the other logistics that I want you to know are doTERRA is a privately owned company and it's debt-free with no outside funding. And that does not happen by chance. That happens because of integrity. And so I really want you guys to know what a high quality company we're looking at. And it's just really, really good to kind of, know who you need to get behind. So we did mention that 85% of people who are doing or who have an account with doTERRA, most of those people are just living the wellness lifestyle. They just have made a choice to opt into like the ideal health choices for themselves and what that means for their family. And that's enough for them. And just to be educated and be part of a community so they know how to use these things more is enough. And then some of them would like to get their products paid for. And all we do for that, which we'll talk about in a minute, is sharing what we already love, right? And that looks like something about 3 to 5 hours a week if you're just kind of starting out wanting to get your products paid for. If you're really wanting to start to build and earn an income and make an impact, it's more like 15 to 30 hours a week. And that's most often something that you would grow into after time. And specifically, if you're looking more for the financial freedom, as opposed to just wanting to share something awesome, and get paid for it. So, so what is it that we actually do when we're doing the, the doTERRA as a business? Like, what does it mean? What does somebody actually do when they do doTERRA as a business? Most often it starts with a phone call or a text, or possibly a Facebook post or something like that to say, I've had this awesome experience. I'm wanting to leave, give some other people some experiences too. How about if we get some oils in your hand and see how they work for you for your specific issue, and you walk that person through how to use it. And once they have a whoa experience for themselves, that is when we offer to give them more information by teaching some of the other, basics that they'll need to know, and showing them what's possible with essential oils and some of the other products that doTERRA has, helping them get their account, whatever fits for them, fits for their family needs, for their budget, things like that. And then plugging them into some of the just community education and just being able to walk with them as they begin using it. So sample, teach, enroll, and support is really all there is to it. And again, this is the kind of thing also that we like to be able to walk through. We have a kind of a launch class that we're starting up very soon. And that will be something to walk you through, like what exactly do I do when I sample, things to say that are tried and true and proven, kind of a plug and play system really, about what a good thing it would be to start with, like a structure. And then, but there's also the freedom to make some of this your own. So I'm going to ask Marcella real quick if she can go ahead and give us some of the comments that were in the chat about some of the whoa experiences that we've had.
Yes, I can. Can you all hear me okay? Yes. I'm like on 2 different systems here, so it's kind of weird. All right, so we had a couple of comments. I'm gonna just take some liberty and share mine first. My wow comment that I shared was we were at an event with a whole bunch of people once, and there was just a lot of emotions. It was the end of a couple of days of a lot of sharing and learning and stuff. And so the last day, there was just a lot of emotions, and I just felt really overwhelmed, where everybody was like kind of crying and saying goodbye and emotional and stuff. And it was just like, I just started crying in the middle of the room and couldn't control myself. I was like, what is going on? And so I pulled out, it's like, I know there's a blend. So I pulled out some tea tree and put some of that on my core and put some On Guard on top of that. And I was able to just kind of, you just separate myself from the room and get kind of myself back together and stuff. And it was just an amazing moment where it just kind of was like, wow, these oils are so powerful. They're just that, they work that fast. Someone else shared that they love Claricom, which is becoming a favorite of mine. I'm starting to use it more, even though till now I was like, I don't need that. I am starting to use it more, but they shared how during when it's their cycle time that, and they get cramps, that they use that and they find a lot of relief. So it's a great, these oils are just super powerful, and it's hard to deny it. When people try them, they sell themselves. It's obvious that they work. You don't really need to convince people of it. Oh, did you mute?
You're right, I did. I muted. Sorry. Yep. Thank you. Okay. Awesome. I'm going to give you guys question 2 as I move into the other thing. And so I'd like for you guys to tell me, what is it about doTERRA's mission? As far as you know, I know some of you have worked with doTERRA just a little bit or have heard some cool things about doTERRA as a company. What is it about doTERRA's mission that that you most appreciate? So as I talk, you guys can be writing some of that, and we're going to check back in a little bit. So I, when I, again, this is probably something that I tend to harp on a lot, because although I am not a millennial, I missed the cutoff by like 5 years. But I do feel like there is such a big part of me that has that desire to be part of a meaningful movement that's positively impacting the world. And that is so much of what doTERRA does. Just like their model for just everything is to help the most, right? And there is not any of the, the typical, bottom line. Well, obviously there has to be some people in the company who have to pay attention to the bottom line. You wouldn't have a debt-free company who is, making their own choices and not having to take the advice of shareholders and things like that if we didn't have a really solid foundation. So obviously there's a lot of that, but just the idea of the people who are behind the bottle, as well as us benefiting from using the bottle, are just held in very high respect. There's this conscious consumerism for not only for millennials, but for me as well, which again, I don't count myself as one, but it really makes a difference to me to know that my money is being invested in having a positive ripple effect. So if you guys want to check out co-impact sourcing, and there's just, if you go to YouTube and just type in co-impact sourcing doTERRA, you'll find just beautiful story after beautiful story that's going to make you cry, because doTERRA is really making a huge positive ripple. Each community that they develop partnerships with are still maintaining that crazy high standard that the source2you.com, big testing and sciencey portion of the thing requires. But they're really working with people. Like they are boots on the ground, and getting to know people's families, and helping people's children be able to have the clean water and the schooling and the hospitals nearby and things like that. It's just beautiful things that the Healing Hands Foundation does, connected with the co-impact sourcing sites. And there are 45 places in the world, internationally, we're talking about, that doTERRA specifically works with and is bringing jobs. And here's the thing, guys, even during the pandemic, when everything was closing down and so many of the other countries, not only were they, have, different requirements and government controls and things like that, but the majority of people also, just consumerism stopped there. And so a lot of the things that used to have been, being produced, cars and and computer chips and things like that, right, weren't selling. doTERRA created jobs during that time. And so it really, really benefited the world in general, especially those third world country kind of areas as well. And there's this big deal about having this fair on time pay, which is not something that a lot of the other countries are able to count on from other companies. And so it's beautiful when you listen to some of you go to YouTube, look up co-impact sourcing, that you can tell the people who are right there, doing the harvesting and pouring their love into that crop, and bringing it to the distillery. You can tell that they trust doTERRA and that they are really glad to have doTERRA in their lives. And I think that love passes right on through as I pick up my bottle and use it as well. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so as we look at some of these, conscious consumerism ideas, it's really important to me that that is a portion of the heart of doTERRA. And of course, as we go through that, the environmental sustainability, being able to have the glass bottles, the zero waste within production. Some of those actually, look at black spruce. When you guys go to that YouTube for co-impact source and look at black spruce, that one's a really cool one too. The idea of livable wages and regenerative agriculture. So these are all things that I think are really, really important for you guys to kind of understand about doTERRA as a company, because the people that you meet, the people that run the company, as well as the people that we are connected to as a community, as we learn together, are just so high quality. It's really, really amazing. So speaking of really high quality people, I think first I want to hear some of the answers about question 2, and then I want to introduce Katie Glasgow. So Marcella, can you tell us what some people mentioned were part of the mission of doTERRA that they most appreciated?
We didn't get a lot of comments or answers for that, but I will tell you what I really appreciate from doTERRA the most was, I think, the last convention when I think it was Emily Wright was sharing about just the farmers and the relationship with the farmers. One of the comments was, if business isn't well for the farmers or isn't going well for the farmers, how could it be going good for us? And it just really struck me how it's not enough good for them to make a profit. That's not what the company's about. They want to make sure that the farmers are getting a better life out of this as well. And so that idea of like you're helping on both sides of the bottle, it's not just a fun little saying that makes us feel good. The company really cares about the people on the other side, not just the people on this side. So that was huge to me, that I'm a lot, aligning with the company, that it's just not in it for the profit. So Rosie says she wants to do a comment. Can you unmute her at all?
Sure.
There you go.
Good.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, Rose, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I kept trying to type this in the chat on my phone and it didn't work. So I've worked in corporate America for probably 30 years. And when I started buying doTERRA almost a year ago, just the entire process around being supported by people beyond you and the team in Orlando was really powerful. It really, often in corporate structures that report to Wall Street, there is so much more of a feeling about the money and pushing to make quarterly quotas and things like that. And in structures like doTERRA that I've been involved in the past, there's very little support system for the people that are trying to do, this kind of a job as a business. But there's a huge, if anybody has problems with orders, there's an incredibly powerful chat system, and the website is one of the most amazing that I've ever gone to. It's really intuitive. And for me, sometimes some of those things are difficult to navigate through. So the mission really is about people's health and making life better. without making that profitable dollar the most important. That's what I think.
I love that. I love that. And the fact that you've only within 1 year been able to experience that, I think really means something as well. So thank you for sharing, Rose. That's so cool. Um, I do have another question I'm going to ask you guys to kind of comment on, and then I want to hear what Katie has to say, not only about Rose's comment and things like that, but other more fun, specific number things. So the question that I'm interested in having you guys reply to is, what is it that you would like to do if you had some income from doTERRA? Or, what would it be that you want to accomplish when you have whatever impact or like income that doTERRA can offer? And we're going to talk about some of those specific numbers in a little bit. Okay, so put that in what would you like to do with income from doTERRA? I'm mostly interested to hear if you're looking to completely replace your income, or if there's just like a project that you're working on or something like that. So put that in the comments. Katie, I would love, like, just in terms of talking about how the people and just the people that support us people are here. What is it about doTERRA that you appreciate the most heart-wise? Oh, let's see. We have you unmuted?
I should be. Am I good now?
Yes,
okay.
You're good.
I think the one thing that really has, I found doTERRA, Rose, much like you. I worked in corporate America, and we had made the decision that corporate America wasn't the best for our family. We had a little boy, and we wanted to expand our family. My husband was getting transferred with his position in a large construction company. We had both worked corporate for many years, and we decided that wasn't really what we wanted for our family. So I was staying at home. And doTERRA, I don't know if we find doTERRA or doTERRA finds us. I think doTERRA finds us always. And when doTERRA found me, I was staying at home. I had tons of hopes and dreams. I had been to school. I wanted to do international business. I had a background. I spoke English and Spanish, and my vision was to work for a global company and rise that corporate ladder. But I soon realized that that really wasn't for me. And I was kind of stuck in this middle, which I think is a really big place that more women find themselves in than they want to admit or they realize, but they stay stuck in this space of, I have to be this idea of success, or to advance my life and to contribute. I have to be a mom and I have to be this superstar. It's not either or. And the only way to be the superstar is through corporate America, which we know keeps us bound to this 9-to-5 philosophy. Sometimes more than that, the more hours we put in, it's trading time for dollars. And it's really a system that I think is broken, that we have the ability to change through direct sales and network marketing and exploring our passion, where, hey, it's okay. We can be mom and we can live in our soul truth and in the what and how we're supposed to contribute to this world. And so I remember going to my first doTERRA event, and I had arranged daycare for my baby that was nursing. I had brought in my pump along, trying to figure out where to pump and all these things, because I was used to corporate America. And I know that if any of you are listening, even if you haven't worked in corporate America, you know how it can be, what it feels like when you're constricted, where like, I can't do this because I'm making this choice. Well, what if we could have it all, right? What if we can have it all? And when I walked into that room, I realized I could have it all, because guess what? There was mamas that didn't leave their babies at home. I brought them with them, and they were breastfeeding them right in the middle of the room in front of everybody. They were talking about God. They were talking about all of these things. And it was just the most beautiful experience and that I've ever felt. And it was like, at that moment, I knew I was home. And when we know, as women, when we find our home, right? It's kind of like that song. I have it on one of my playlists that I love to listen to. It's that song from the movie Ferdinand. I don't know if you guys have watched that, about the bull, the bull that doesn't fit in with the rest of the other bulls and doesn't want to be a fighter bull. And in that movie, there's this song called Home, and it's talking about when we find our home. And when I found doTERRA, I found my home. I knew that it was going to make an impact in my family's life. I knew it was going to make an impact in the lives of so many others. And I think that's one of the biggest blessings of doTERRA. And we can talk about co-impact sourcing and this message, this mission and purpose. And when we find our message, mission, and purpose, we find this product that goes with it. And then we're like, oh, it can also be a vehicle, not only to my physical health and making my body my home and, making me live in my full expression, but also in my family's. And when I can live whole and true in my home, and then my family knows how to do that at the same time, and I can create that abundance within them, then it starts to expand and it starts to shift and it starts to go to Amanda's home and Marcella's home and Rose's home. And before we knew it, we're 12,000 strong, of 12,000 families, because I found home and I had the mission and the message to help other people find home. So, that's the biggest blessing. Yes, there's a beautiful income that comes with it. That income gives us the freedom, right? It gives us the freedom to not have to live in the structure of corporate America, right? And for some people, they can still find their love in the corporate structure, right? But by using the products and things, they're going to be able to show up differently in that. So I think it's just about finding home. And doTERRA truly is that. I've never worked with another group of people so amazing. Most of my best friends now are part of doTERRA and they live all around the world. I have a global business. That global business, like God just brought it to me in a different form than what I thought. I thought it was going to be like working for Principal Bank or something like that. And it's my own global business, my very, very own global business, where I have the opportunity to speak Spanish and English and interact and have cultural experiences. And it's beautiful.
That is so beautiful. You're totally speaking my language. Thank you for sharing. For as far as it goes for the actual income, can you walk us through some like the very basics about what it does mean for that?
Yeah, like how to get started, like some action items. Okay, so my background in corporate, just so y'all know, is business. And there is nothing more than I love than to teach women how to make money. Like I love it. I think we're all like, a lot of times we get like that weird feeling like, oh, I can't make money or whatever, but there is so much good that we can do with money in this world. And so how are we going to make money? Okay. The basic principles, Amanda went through them. You love your oils. Okay. Here's the thing. You can't make money in doTERRA if you don't love the oils and if you're not using the products. I have seen it happen over and over and again where people are like, hey, I want to make money because they want to advance, like they want the money, but they don't want to fall in love with the company and the product. It doesn't work, right? You have to, we were listening to a training yesterday that Amanda and I talked about a little bit before we started this call. And it was, you can give a man a boat, but if he doesn't love the water and he doesn't learn how to fish, that boat does no good, right? And so we can give a man a vehicle to create money like doTERRA is, but if you don't fall in love with the company and the products, like that boat's not going to get you anywhere, okay? And so I want people in my boat that love doTERRA and are really wanting to advance themselves. Okay. And then our first step always, before we go any further, is to learn how to get your oils paid for, right? The sky's the limit with doTERRA. Okay. You can go from a $50 check every month to $150,000 check every month. I am not exaggerating. Okay. But all of it is based on the principles of people loving oils and getting their oils paid for. And then we just build upon that. It's like that foundation. And so we have to teach you how to get your oils paid for, because for you to advance, even, because that's the key, right? Is getting your oils paid for. And once you get your oils paid for, you're just going to show other people how to do the same thing. A lot of times we like to make things way too complicated. So what are you going to do? You're going to love your oils and you're going to host a class. It's really that simple. It's not any more complicated than that. And to host that class, Amanda or Marcella will work with you to teach you how to invite people to that class so that you have some people at that class. And then when they come to that class, we're going to teach them how to get started with a kit. But when you're first getting started, guess what? You don't have to worry about any of that. All you have to worry about is, hey, I'm going to host a class, and that class can be in your home. That class can be online. It can be a texting class. We have several opportunities coming up as a team over the next week where you can tap into larger team things. So if you only have like one person per class, totally fine. You're still sharing. Okay. So you just have to make that decision that, hey, I'm ready to get my oils paid for. I love these products and I'm going to do it, right? Not like, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll kind of share. Maybe I'll kind of dip my toes. No, jump in. Jump into getting your oils paid for. I'm not going to ask you to jump into being presidential diamond or blue diamond or whatever, because you don't even understand what that means. Nobody understands what that means. I'm not going to ask you to jump into committing to quitting your corporate career. I'm going to ask you to jump into, I want to share these products and help my family be blessed by getting my products paid for. Okay. So that's it. That's it. And you host a class or you learn how to invite people to what Marcella and Amanda are already doing. We're going to teach you how to do that really, really, really effectively. And then we'll go on to the next steps. We know what we're doing. We've been doing this for a really long time. Been teaching people how to use oils in their home and do that for 10 years. Okay. So you're just going to trust us to teach you the next steps. And really the next step is you figuring out how much you want to commit, jumping in, making that commitment, making that decision inside of you that, hey, I'm going to do this, and then hosting a class. It's really that simple. It's not any more complicated. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Tell me what, and I have a few things that I feel like are benefits beyond, like when we do jump in and decide to not only change how well we are able to show up for ourselves and for the people around us and for our family and things like that, but really also make an impact, I guess in other ways as well. I have a couple things that I think are key, that are benefits other than pay, and I feel like you probably have even more or expanding on this. But here's a couple things. Like number one, I love getting a lot of my products for free. Some of that's just LRP orders and some things like that. But there are also bonuses that sometimes come when we have I don't know, certain landmarks that happen. Certainly this whole idea of improving my health is a big one, because I don't think I would take nearly as much care of myself as a mom. I think I tend to give to others, but not necessarily pay as much attention to myself, unless I'm being inspired to or challenged to, which I know Katie Glasgow has actually done for me in the past, like putting up there, like, let's make a community of people who of moms who are taking care of themselves, and this idea of living with purpose and changing the world. I see some of those as being like kind of keys that inspire me to action when it's not just enough for me to kind of think about getting my oils paid for. Do you have other things or piggyback on any of those that you feel like are important in making that decision to jump in and host a class?
For me and for our family, I think, yes, my health is completely different than it would ever be without doTERRA. We can take care of our family's solutions and we don't have to ever worry about our health. So, but I kind of think that the health is it comes in different ways, right? Because of how we create. So I was kind of thinking about this earlier, and so I started actively sharing doTERRA in 2012. And when I started sharing, we lived in LA. We were on one salary, and my husband was never home. He worked for a large construction company. He left at 4 a.m. He got home at 7:30. And his health wasn't necessarily like we were doing the supplements, we were doing everything else. But he had a lot of stress because of how much he was sitting in traffic, right? And the stress that his job was bringing and the stress it was putting on our family because dad was never home, right? So financially, we were pretty well off with doTERRA and with his construction income. But on the undercurrent, their kids never saw their dad. We didn't have them in activities because it would have been one more thing. We weren't close to family, like a lot of gamut of things. And so by making the commitment to share for other people, he was able to say adios to corporate America. We moved to Iowa. Our health drastically changed. So it wasn't necessarily, yes, the products changed his health because we had them paid for, but at the same time, being able to get us out of LA, right? And right now, I am so grateful that we don't live in LA. My kids, like, I look out the window and I see my kids get on the bus. My children have class sizes of 16. When we were in LA, they were 32, double the class size for a kindergarten class. My oldest started kindergarten in California with a class size of 32. My youngest is starting kindergarten in Polk City, Iowa, with a class of 16, half the size. So there's all these like underlying blessings that come. And it's not just for me. Like my mom also shares doTERRA and was able to retire early and things like that, and this freedom. So we've experienced several end of life events, right? My two grandmothers, and most recently my husband's father, where we had time freedom to be there for them. Like, and nobody else in the family, they had to deal with work schedules and flights and things like that. And we could be like, oh, no problem, we'll be there tomorrow, because of this life we have created, right? My husband can be the one that runs all the kids to practice. Like our Suburban has been full all summer long, all fall long, of kids, getting them back and forth to practices and games and things like that, because the other parents have to work and don't have that freedom. Now, does it mean that we don't work? Does creating in doTERRA mean that we don't work? No, it does not mean that we don't work. It just means we choose when to work. And we have the option to say, hey, I need to slow down a little bit right now, and I can't go into an office or things like that. So it's, yeah, I still work a lot of hours. I'm not gonna, but I have passion for what I do, and I love it every minute. And that just comes with it. When I first started, I was a mom, and I, juggled it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there, and maybe worked a couple of hours a day. But once I realized it was my passion, I started to do more and more and more. And now I would say I'm 20 to 30 hours a week. Some weeks I'm more, some weeks I'm less, but I've taken basically the last several weeks off. We had COVID, we had other things happen in our lives. We went on vacation, and I just decided not to work. I wanted to get my kids back to school. Starting on Monday, Mama's going to be back at it, right? So it's just, there's so much freedom that comes with this business that are like the undercurrents, that the trickle down effects, that you just have those aha moments. And so making the decision first to get your oils paid for starts with your health, and that's always the foundation, and then it starts to expand from there, right? And so it's beautiful, and every situation is going to be different, and we work with you individually to figure out what your situation is going to be.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking at the time here. I'm definitely going over what I had promised for most people, but I feel like this is very high value to be able to kind of get this mindset out for people. And so thank you so much for sharing. Marcella, are there other people who shared about something that they would like to do through doTERRA Income that you want to share real quick? I want to be able to get our prize giveaway here in a minute.
I have a lot of comments, but I can share my thing if you want. I remember hearing a talk months ago, and I can't remember the term now, if it was professional family or full-time family, but they referred to themselves, it was a doTERRA couple, as I'm going to go with full-time family because that sounds great. And I've often had said before that I wanted to bring my husband home, and it kind of gave me that vision of I want to be a full-time family with my husband. Like, we actually enjoy time together. We don't mind, he works from home. I really don't mind having him home 24/7. And if we could make money together, we would do that. We could survive on love, is what I joke. We would. But that's my vision, is to grow, to share with people, to help them start making or start reaching for natural solutions first, and then keep reaching for natural solutions, so that I can build a family that will eventually bring me enough income so I can bring my husband home and we could be a full-time family. That's kind of my goal and my vision and my dream.
Beautiful, beautiful. Love it, love it. Well, as I was scanning through comments, I see a lot of them. I feel like Rose has commented more. I think there was a little bit from Melissa. But I feel like because Rose has kind of popped in and also made even a verbal affirmation of this beauty, I want to go ahead and send her a 15 ml of wild orange, which is the oil of abundance. And there's just so many things about doTERRA that just fill up my heart to just a full feeling of abundance. And so I want to pass some of that out to Rose as our little prize. Let me go ahead and I guess some closing thoughts, and then I'll also let Katie and Marcella share something super fast before we stop recording. We can stay on for a quick question or two if you guys like as well. So just, I mean, more of what Katie had already shared, like just, it really is kind of simple to get started with this. There are, like just a community of people who are wanting to kind of walk alongside and make this easy. And much of it is just you deciding to move forward. And so I would like to, just kind of get the idea in your head of selling doesn't have to be, scary or bad. And a lot of what we do is more like just getting paid to live healthy and getting paid to share what we already love and we're already passionate about anyway. And so I challenge you guys to consider doing that. Katie, do you have any last comments you'd like to make real quick?
I think the only thing I would make is just, make the decision to say yes to you and your family's health by just getting your oils paid for, and understand that you have a beautiful system of support and guidance with you to do this business. You're never, ever going to be alone, which I think is the hardest concept for people to understand, because so many times we're given tasks and we're meant to do them on ourselves. That's not the way it is with this business. You have a hand holding every step of the way. You show up, we show up, right? So, and when you show up, we will show up for you like none other. So just make that decision to show up and say yes, and understand that the rest will fall into place. So if this is tugging on your heart to say, yes, I need to take the next steps, don't worry about the details. So many times we get consumed by the details and we don't make the decisions that we are meant to in our lives because we're too worried about the outcome, right? We're too consumed by the outcome. Don't worry about the outcome. If you're feeling pulled to like, hey, I love these oils, and right now you can think of 10 people that you want to share them with, say yes and have a call with Marcella or Amanda and work on the next steps.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for joining us. Marcella, last thoughts?
I kind of want to echo, I guess, what Katie just said of like, if you do love the oils, and it really has to start there, then just share with one person, just, pick a person. It doesn't have to be 20 people or 100 people or jump in head first or whatever, just share with the people who come into your life naturally, and not to get caught up with maybe looking and comparing yourself with me or with Amanda or with Katie, because doTERRA can really be whatever you want it to be for you. And that's another thing that really attracted me to doTERRA, was that I don't have to be Katie. I don't have to be all these other people that we see. I can just be me and do doTERRA the way it feels right for me. So
very cool. Love it. Love it. All right.